Mike Hamilton,
Jake Milstein.
how are you?
I'm well, although I gotta say now that we're getting into the dark season, spider season's almost over, and right, and then so now it's dark
It's the great
season.
dark, yeah.
Boy, it's nice to stay in bed late when it's dark season.
Yeah,
It's
just ask
just
my
getting harder to get
teenager.
up. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
so wow. I mean, we haven't done this in a little bit because of all the travel we've been doing, which is,
Yeah.
by the way, great to get back on the road. But what a month it has been. We launched a new webpage. We have security awareness training tomorrow. You were in Bloomberg, Washington Post, Axios, and a bunch of others about all of the big. Wow. I mean, there's a lot that's been going on.
Yeah. When was the last time we did this? I think September 8th was the last one I remember.
Hmm.
Like you say, there are reasons. Conference season is upon us,
Hmm.
and we had a couple of trips to Idaho. And I really enjoyed the Idaho Hospital Association. That was really a great group of dedicated people that are working really hard to keep the health system afloat during pandemic, revenue crunch, margins down, and oh yeah, the occasional cyber meltdown. So
Yeah, I mean, what an uplifting group of
no
people.
kidding.
Seriously, like really very very cool. You know, speaking of which, that is what the revenue, the margins, and the cyber crunch on hospitals is one of the big topics we'll cover in today's urgent panel webinar.
Hmm.
If you want to register for it, go to criticalinsight.com, click on events, and you can register for any of our events. And that's today. That's midday today. And the common spirit issue is the first one we're going to tackle there.
Speaking of health,
There've been patients impacted. They're dealing with ransomware. They had to take their EHR, which is their electronic health records system, offline for some hospitals and go to paper records. And it's unclear if they did that as a precaution or if they did that anyway. Unclear. So we'll tackle that one more in depth, but they aren't. But I mean, they have a lot of hospitals that can't operate right now. That can operate, but are on paper records.
yeah, and we don't know how many hospitals, right? It could be up to 1,000 because
Hmm.
Common Spirit is the parent company that serves a lot of health affiliates. And like you say, one of those things they provide is electronic health records. And I'm
Hmm.
not sure the architecture they use to deliver that service, but they've been hit with ransomware. And many of these affiliate hospitals, including one here right up the road from me, that's our hospital, no access to health records. So cancer patients are being rescheduled for procedures, and patients are being redirected. And and in my opinion, making it worse, Common Spirit is not saying anything publicly. So yeah, let's talk more about that later at noon today
Yep.
Pacific.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no shortage of big news right now. I mean,
Hmm.
Microsoft Exchange is under an active exploit. We just got Microsoft patches, but they don't fix it.
Hmm.
And everyone's just implementing workarounds. I mean, the last time this happened, Mike, it was China, right?
Yes, but I don't think that's the case now. And this exploit isn't easy to pull off. You need network access already in order to chain the two vulnerabilities together, the two exploits together, and execute code on an Exchange server.
Hmm.
Fortinet also needs to be patched immediately. And this is interesting. The company has been basically side channeling their customers about it and telling them not to make it public, which apparently didn't work because we're telling you about it right now.
Mike, don't make Fortinet mad.
It wasn't me that made it public. I'm just exploiting, if I can use that term, the fact that it has. Uh, moving on.
Thank you for the cybersecurity dad joke.
Sure.
Hmm.
Um, what was I going to say? Oh, the Uber CISO being convicted has been in the news a lot, and I've been providing whatever insight I can to the media. Everybody wants to talk about this. This is worth watching because, and I've said this over and over, you can talk about SQL injection and identity and access management all day, but you're not going to get real attention until the words gross negligence are issued in the direction of an executive. Then everyone's head pops up. How can we help? Right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think's going to come of that? I mean, are people less likely to take the CISO position or add the CISO title? Are CISOs out shopping for their own D&O insurance? Like, what happens, Mike?
Well, first of all, I think the decision's going to be appealed, because the conviction, the potential, um, penalty or sentence here is 8 years in prison and a $500,000 fine. And so for sure, this is going to get appealed. And whether Mr. Sullivan goes to prison depends on the authority of the FTC to make breach reporting mandatory. They say in a blog post that article, and this some time ago, Article 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act does give them the authority, but I think that's debatable. And I believe it is going to be debated in court. So let's leave this one here and talk about this one more as well later.
Yeah, and I mean more big news that I pulled out of the Daily Blast. And for those of you who don't know, Mike every day for the last 13 years, is that right, Mike? Has
It's
sent
like
every
15 at this
weekday.
point, I think.
15, yeah, has sent a daily email. If you want to sign up for that, you can do it on our website of the of news, cyber news.
Mhm,
So more big news, that I've seen in the Blast this week. We're seeing our first class action lawsuit. I
mhm,
think it's the first, at least the first that I've seen in the Blast, based on CCPA and CPRA. This is the California privacy laws.
mhm.
And this is one you talked about before, and it has to do with the wording that's in the laws, right?
Yes, the acts say that you don't have to show harm from the fact that your record was disclosed in order to have standing to sue, right? So you don't have to say, you lost my record and I had identity theft happen, right? Which is an
Mhm.
absurd term. It's fraud. It's not identity. Nobody stole your identity. So there are attorneys waiting for the chance to form a class, and that's what happened here to Samsung. And I forget exactly what landed them here, but I think it has to do with information that's pulled from their devices. Anyway, along these lines, another one to watch is LA Unified School District.
Mhm.
So this one is odd because they were hit with ransomware, refused to pay, and so of course they made student record. The bad guys made student records public. So what's going to happen here?
I mean, if that ends up as a class action, isn't that us suing ourselves? The schools are funded through tax dollars, so I guess anyway, seems like a weird one.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know.
like I said, that's one to watch.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of irony there because it's in California. There is California Consumer Privacy Act, California Privacy Rights Act. Those records are regulated by FERPA, the
Mm.
Family Educational Right to Privacy Act, and so this is going to get icky. But here's another one: Lloyd's of London is down and working through a cyber event that is probably ransomware, but we don't really know. Now, think of the irony here. Okay, what insurance company did they call when they figured out it was ransomware?
I
Hmm.
think they're probably self-insured. Uh, uh,
They have a policy.
they have a policy. I'm sure they have a policy. Of course, they have a policy. And if we find out that a nation state was behind the attack, will they pay out on their own policy since they're the ones who have said that they won't cover nation state attacks? There you go. Yeah, you think about that one, Mike. Okay, there's something else we talked about that looks like it's going to come to fruition here. Isn't Congress right now debating as to whether the federal government will share costs for the catastrophic cyber events? I mean, I'm not sure that's the reinsurance, mechanism you talked about, but it looks like there's sort of a realization that the insurance thing isn't working out. Everyone's rates
You
are going
think?
up, and like we're all at risk here.
Yeah. So I'm not sure it's going to be, so they have talked about, reinsurance as well. That's not the discussion that's in front of Congress right now. I don't think it's going to be reinsurance like the TRIP or the TRIA, right? So terrorism reinsurance program. But it's good that they're starting to act on this.
Hmm.
And by the way, a lot of the mandatory reporting requirements and the recommendations, because CISA just can recommend, they can't regulate, that we are hearing now have something to do with that. If we can aggregate enough information on attacks and costs, provide that information to insurance companies, they can price things better and make sure that we have that risk transference ability, because right now it's not working well for anyone.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Hey, we better get to T's and V's.
Yeah.
There are a lot. You've mentioned some before.
Yeah. Well, we did talk about Exchange and Fortinet.
Uh huh.
For threats, I'm reading that U.S. ports and terminals have sustained increased attacks, and that's a threat to the economy for sure. Just along our coast here, I think it's like $500 billion every year move in and out of the ports. VMware vCenter server has a bug disclosed last year that's still not patched. So if you're a customer, make sure you have information on that one. The source code to the UEFI processor has been leaked, the Intel chip, right, which allows you remote access to uh, like reboot a server if everything else has failed. So I'm sure exploits are going to follow that. Um, there's a new phishing as a service. Is that right? That continues to lower the bar for people to become criminals. And,
Oh,
as a
good.
result, the population of people with little skills that can compromise and extort is going up. This is a big threat. Pay attention. There are fake adult websites that are pushing data wipers that are disguised as ransomware. It melts the network, but there's no extortion demand. Or maybe it just melts your computer, but there's no extortion demand. So watch out for sexyphotos.jpg.
Nobody ever did anything wrong for a porn site. No.
I'm just a reporter here.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, before we end, there is one more thing, which is, and we're seeing this a lot in M&A deals. There's, obviously a lot of M&A deals going on. And what reminded me is I just got an alert on my phone from Wall Street Journal that Kroger is now in talks with Albertsons over a deal.
Really?
And in all of these M&A deals, it creates cyber risk. And we've been talking to some customers about this. But don't wait until the end of a deal to address cyber issues, because there have been so many times that the cyber issues come up in the middle of the deal, or one of the organizations wish they knew the cyber issues of the other in an M&A thing. And there's a company, actually there's a healthcare organization I talked to about this at the Idaho Hospital Association meeting. So, just keep an eye on that. All right, Mike, we're about out of time. Kicker. What do you got? The kicker's thing where you make everybody laugh. I think everybody.
It's not going to make everybody laugh.
Okay, what do you got?
But it's the best I can do, because the news is all pretty somber, right? All these things from the news. Well, I like the article on Boston Dynamics, mostly for the title of the article, because the Register has some of the cleverest writers. Here's the title of the article: Robot dog maker Boston Dynamics pledges not to let its robots kill you. Okay, that is a killer headline. Well, haha. That's good to know, Boston Dynamics. Unfortunately, they always hedged that a bit, and they said, to be clear, we're not taking issue with existing technologies that nations and their government agencies use to defend themselves and uphold their laws. So I'm expecting, laser eyes on the robot dogs soon. And I know that's not funny, but the world is really not funny right
now. I don't know. I think laser. I don't know. Maybe it won't be funny. I don't know. We'll find out.
What if they had? All right. Well, what if they had a robot shark and they actually put laser eyes on it, laser mounted on a robot shark? That would make a prediction come true.
That definitely would. All right, Mike,
Okay.
watch fewer movies. Everybody else, have a great week. Hey, don't forget the urgent webinar today. Right. Go to our website, criticalinsight.com, click on events, sign up. We'll see you there.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.